The problem that we have is that there is another person out there who, for some reason, people think his opinion is extremely important when it comes to all matters of politics, and in many ways is the whisperer for the upper liberal class. And lo and behold, not a surprise, another hypocrite born into complete and absolute insanity when it comes to their takes, especially on the issue of Israel, is Bill Maher. And Bill,
I haven't seen, just as a preface, people, I have no idea what he said, and I have a feeling I'm going to be like really annoyed.
Oh, you're not going to like this at all. Bill Maher wants you to know that your opinion about what's going on in the Middle East is stupid and irrelevant, and he knows all and will let you know right now why this is so important. So get ready, because Bill Maher is going to educate you on exactly how important the state of Israel really is, because us mere mortals are too dumb to generally understand. So he's going to do it in classic upper class liberal fashion.
Good.
Let you know exactly why the state of Israel must exist and must continue to do what they're doing. Here we go.
And finally, new rule for all the progressives and academics who refer to Israel as an outpost of Western civilization like it's a bad thing. Please note, Western civilization is what gave the world pretty much every goddamn liberal precept that liberals are supposed to adore. Individual liberty, scientific inquiry, rule of law, religious freedom, women's rights, human rights, democracy, trial by jury, freedom of speech. Please, somebody stop us before we enlighten again. And since one can find all these concepts in today's Israel and virtually nowhere else in the Middle East, if anything, the world would be a better place if it had more Israels. Of course, this message falls on deaf ears to the current crop who reduce everything to being only victims or victimizers, so Israel is lumped in as the toxic fruit of the victimizing West. The irony being that all marginalized people live better today because of Western ideals, not in spite of them. Martin Luther King used Henry David Thoreau's essay Civil Disobedience to help shape the civil rights movement. The UN's Universal Declaration of Human Rights owes its core to Rousseau and Voltaire. Cleisthenes never showed up for a sexual harassment seminar. But without him, there's no democracy. The cop who murdered George Floyd got 21 years for violating his Fourth Amendment rights, an idea we got directly from John Locke, who no one in college would ever study anymore because he's so old and so white and so dead. Gaza wasn't seized by Israel like India or Kenya was by the British Empire, and the partitioning of the region wasn't decided by Jews, but by a vote of the United Nations in 1947, with everyone from Russia to Haiti voting for it. But apparently they don't teach this at Drag Queen Story Hour anymore. Now, it is true that for too long, we didn't study enough Asian or African or Latin American history. But part of the reason for that is, frankly, there's not as much to study. Colleges replaced courses in Western Civ. Boo! Eye roll, dead white men, am I right? They replaced that with world civilization classes, which is fine in theory, but what it meant in practice is you read queer poetry of the African diaspora instead of Shakespeare. And I'm sure there's value in both. But as usual, America only ever overcorrects. And so we're at this place now where the words Western Civ became kind of a shorthand for white people ruined everything. No, they didn't live up to their own ideals for far too long and committed atrocities, but people back then were all atrocious. Not just the white ones, depending on who had the power.
I'm so angry right now. Why did you make me watch that?
First of all, they were saying, hey, listen, Colin,
so angry.
I have to be able to stop and play this thing. It needs to be able to be imposed where we can pause it and keep going. Instead
Here's the thing. Bill, you white supremacist, elitist piece of shit. Do you think that Locke and Voltaire and all the other old white people just came out onto the earth and the whole humanity started with these brilliant white men. No, because guess what, Bill? You weren't taught the history that was before that, where they got it from. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't from white folk. The fact that he sat there and just so white and arrogantly said, before us, we didn't have all these things. And every single one of those things is not true. It is just patently not true. I do not know enough. That's why another reason we need to talk consciously. I do not know enough about African history to be specific, but I do know that math and sciences and architecture and like building things like, you know, pyramids and those things predated Eurocentric whiteness. And those people had figured a lot of shit out, like embalming and just, you know what, again, I am not an expert on this, but the fact that he would say, well, these old white men from whenever that was, whenever era, 1600s, they originated it. Oh, yes, they just came up with it. Like as if it wasn't anything. You know what? Who did we have on recently that was explaining about how, was it Harvey? No, not Harvey. John Nichols? Oh, God, who was it? I don't know, guys.
John Nichols, maybe?
I don't know. But the whole premise that our rights, it was a book I read recently. It might have been Tom Hartman. I don't know. Guys, we have so many people. Our rights, all of those things, our Constitution, the Founding Fathers documents, the kind of shit that people like Bill Maher think is so brilliant, was very, very heavily based on indigenous tribe culture. So it's so infuriating to me. He thinks that the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and all of this concept of justice and like, that came from white people? Oh my God. Yes, it was just this original spawned idea. Some white man walking along said, oh my God, we should have rights. And then all the indigenous people should just be so thankful for you for sharing that with them. That is the caucasity.
Of all the things that Bill said in that segment that I think was the most telling, that completely went over my head at the time, he actually said, no, we would be better off if we had a lot more Israels around the world. Wow.
Here's the thing. But in his mind, as he laid out, white people and the concept of settler colonialism is a benefit for the world. It's helped the world. Everybody has done better because of the white Western people.
And that is neoliberalism in a nutshell. Like it really is. Like the whole concept of what that means. And of course, it's always coming from these pseudo-intellectuals who think because they are well-read, you know, he went to Cornell and all of a sudden that makes him
a small little man.
And he's not somebody who I would ever trust to actually be able to do a tune-up or change a tire on an automobile. No. I always use that as an example of people who are not capable of of self-sustainment.
No.
This is why I prefer rural conservatives to big city liberals, because at least rural conservatives can survive in the wild and survive without basic things. Somebody like Bill Maher wouldn't know what the heck, he wouldn't survive a week. He might not even survive a few days.
He just oozes so much entitlement, but just the fact that he actually sat there and made it be like all these great things from history really came, he believes that they came from white people, from European white people. He thinks that they just made that shit up. Oh my God, he is so entitled. I want to strangle that man.
Yeah, he's definitely, you know what I think? I think it's the glasses. That's what it is. You see, he, for a long time, never wore glasses. And now all of a sudden he wears these sophisticated glasses.
You think they made him stupid?
Well, no, they always say that when you start wearing glasses that you naturally become smarter, that people think you're smarter.
I don't know. He's an idiot. You're an idiot, Bill. I can't believe I ever liked him. But no, he sits there and she's like, seriously, talk about a perfect example of brainwashed, whitewashing, how we are so improperly taught history in this country, and he's actually sitting there saying that we need to go learn history. Yeah, Bill, I would take your own advice. I'd go learn some. It didn't start with the white people.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.